If you're looking for the very best things to do in Marrakech in Morocco, then you're at the right address. I just spent 3 days in the heart of this vibrant city and figured out all of the best places to visit, the best restaurants, fantastic places to stay, and the most beautiful stores to find the best souvenirs to take home with you. Marrakech is one of the most famous cities in Morocco and is well known for its vibrant city life, sensory overload, and sandstone-colored buildings. Some of the most famous things to do in Marrakech are wandering through the Medina and visiting the world-famous Jamma El Fana Square. But there's so much more to do in Marrakech, and this Marrakech travel guide will cover it all. There's an international airport right outside of Marrakech, so once you arrive, you can easily reach the city center with a taxi from the airport. If you're staying inside of the Medina in Marrakech, then all of the sites are within walking distance, and you can easily explore everything on foot. If you're staying in one of the hotels more outside of the Medina, you can ask if they have a shuttle service that takes you to the Medina, or you can rent a car. This last option is especially a good idea if you also want to take a couple of day trips from Marrakech. 1. Wander through the Medina of Marrakech. Within the confines of the Medina, you'll find some of the most stunning locations in all of Marrakech. The nicest part is that everything within these confines is within walking distance from one another. 2. Go shopping in the souk of Marrakech. In Marrakech, one of the most enjoyable activities is to wander aimlessly through the city's famous souk, which is reminiscent of a labyrinth. There are a great number of tiny shops in this area, and each of them has local street vendors outside who will compete with one another to make a sale to you. During both of my trips to Marrakech, the souks were among the busiest and most crowded areas in the city. A large number of individuals are attempting to navigate the streets, and at the same time, locals will attempt to get around you on their bicycles and motorbikes. Therefore, it is true that the sensory overload might be difficult to manage, but if you search carefully, you will be able to locate some truly remarkable keepsakes. 3. Visit the spice market in Marrakech. The souk of Marrakech is home to a market known as the Spice Market, which is considered to be the greatest location in the city to locate some of the less common spices. The local street merchants will first let you smell a significant amount of them, and then they will, of course, do their absolute best to sell them to you. Simply ensure that you take into account your currency converter before doing so. One of these people offered to sell it to me for €30 for 10 grams of eucalyptus salt. 4. Visit the Kutubiyya Mosque and Gardens. Although non-Muslims are not permitted to enter the Kutubiyya Mosque or its minaret, it is possible for them to catch a peek of the inside on Fridays when the doors are opened for prayers. One voice may be heard rising over the clamor of Jamma el Fna, as the muezzin calls the faithful to prayer from the Kutubiyya Mosque, which is the largest mosque in Marrakech. The Kutubiyya Gardens are a popular place for locals and tourists alike to take a stroll, rest on park benches, and generally take a break from the hustle and bustle of the city. These gardens are located directly behind the Kutubiyya Mosque. After weaving through the narrow passageways of the Medina and evading motorbikes, if you're in need of some quiet, follow the lead of the locals and walk here for a calm wander. 5. Visit Le Jardin Secret. The infamous Le Jardin Secret finally revealed itself to the general public for the very first time. This stunning garden is a tropical oasis, tucked away in the middle of the Medina. Here you can get away from the commotion that is going on just outside the door. The magnificent Arab Andalusian and Moroccan palaces that Le Jardin Secret draws inspiration from are part of a great tradition. As a consequence of this, guests have the opportunity to explore the gardens and buildings of the complex, both of which are remarkable specimens of Islamic art and architecture. 6. Visit the Darel Bacha Museum. One of the most recognizable landmarks in the city of Marrakech in Morocco is the Darel Bacha, also called the Museum of Confluence. It is a stunning palace that has been there since the 18th century and serves as a symbol of the city's long and illustrious history, as well as its rich culture. It is impossible to find another building, just like Darel Bacha Marrakech's. The palace consists of a number of separate structures that are linked to one another by a network of enclosed courtyards and open-air gardens. The walls of the palace are covered in elaborate mosaics and bright tiles, giving the building an appearance that is both lively and striking. In addition, this area is home to one of the most renowned tea establishments in all of Marrakech. However, you should get there before the doors open because the wait period could last for up to 2 hours. 7. Marvel at the Ben Youssef Madrasa, one of the best places to visit in Marrakech. An Islamic college in Marrakech known as the Ben Youssef Madrasa has just recently reopened after undergoing extensive repairs over the course of several years. I was never able to see it in all of its splendor when it was first created, but the meticulous intricacies are breathtaking. The Ben Youssef Madrasa is not only the largest, but also the most important of Morocco's Islamic educational institutions. It was reconstructed in 1565 on the order of Abdallah al-Ghalib, who had commissioned the original construction in the 14th century. It includes more than 130 rooms and has provided housing for more than 900 individuals. 8. Visit Le Jardin Majorel. Marrakech's Le Jardin Majorel is consistently ranked as one of the city's top attractions for visitors. Figuratively speaking, each and every traveler will, at some point, go there. Where do I begin? For the most enjoyable experience, try to plan your trip for the earliest time period feasible. You will have to choose a time window in order to purchase your tickets, which can only be done online. We arrived within the first allotted time window, so we had the garden to ourselves for a good portion of the visit. Also, when we got back outside, there were already people waiting in line outside on the street. 9. Watch the locals at Jamma El Square. Late in the afternoon and into the early evening is when the Jamma El Square, which is widely considered to be one of the most famous squares in all of Morocco, really comes to life. In this area, in addition to the many different types of sellers, there are also local comedians who are hypnotizing cobras. If you have a fear of snakes, you should be careful not to get too close to them. In addition, they will beg you for money if they see that you are taking a photo or video of them, or that you are standing closer to watch them. 10. Visit Elb Palace. For me, one of the most memorable parts of my trip to Marrakech was touring the Elb Palace, especially considering that we arrived only a few minutes after the store had opened, when there were hardly any other customers present. According to legend, the incomparable Elb was a castle that contained more than 300 chambers adorned in gold, turquoise, and crystal. Elb Palace is a wonderful place to go, whether you had a good time exploring the Roman Forum in Rome, or you've always wanted to travel to the Acropolis in Athens. You can get a taste of the building's splendor by exploring its huge courtyard that has been abandoned. If you go to Elb, make sure you climb the walls so you may get one of the best views of Marrakech. If you do, you won't regret it. Marrakech has a great selection of more tradition and more modern fusion restaurants. I tried as many restaurants as possible within those 3 days, and below you can find my favorites.